This is Live Life Love. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Live Life Love podcast. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, this is all about living a life you love and living your life full of love. Now, I know it's been a while since I made one of these, so excited to get back into it. So today I am going to be talking about creativity and creating versus consuming. And I think this is important because in today's day and age, we are all just constantly consuming this and that. There's so much media, just so much to take in all the time. And I think it's very easy to fall into a pattern of consuming and taking all this in, but never really putting anything out and creating something yourself. And I do not think that humans are designed to necessarily take in information constantly and not really do anything about that, just kind of stand around or just keep taking in information. And there's really only so much that I think you can hold and process, and you have to remember that whatever you are putting into yourself, whatever you are consuming, is going to inherently influence and affect who you are and how you present yourself in your everyday. So this is very important to keep in mind when you're choosing what kinds of things you're consuming, just to be mindful that what you put in is what you put out, and it is good to stay informed, but there is a level of too informed or where it's important to take a step back and make sure you're actually processing and engaging with all that information that's coming out. And one of the best ways to do this is to create something of your own. And I know creativity can seem very daunting to people who it might not come as naturally to. And I think especially perfectionists or high achievers especially might struggle sometimes with being creative because there's a chance of failure and there's a chance that you might not be as good at something as you might want. And I think it's important with creativity to be able to fail, to be able to put yourself out there, to be able to create. And nobody has to see anything that you create. It can be just for you and just for your own personal pleasure to enjoy whatever you make and something that will make you happy. And even if it doesn't turn out maybe whatever beautiful thing you had envisioned in your head, part of creativity is just spending the time, slowing down, and really being intentional about putting something out into the world instead of taking in what the world has for you. And I think creativity also builds a level of self and individuality that is very important in today's society, where it's very easy for it to become very homogenous, very single-minded, or often two-minded with two opposing sides. You often see that of two extremes in a lot of different ways, or two very differing opinions. And so really creating a sense of self and knowing who you are is incredibly important to find your own voice and feel like a person. It's important to feel like a person and not just one of many, but truly an individual. And when you create something, I encourage you to not look to copy something that somebody else has created, but really lean into that creativity of making something. And of course, it will be influenced by things you've seen in the past, but creating something brand new that is you and is an expression of yourself. And creativity can look a lot of different ways. And I think, maybe people often jump to, creativity is painting a picture or something like that, but it doesn't even have to look like that necessarily. Creativity can be picking a super fun or trying a new outfit, putting two things together that maybe aren't typically put together to create something brand new. Or creativity could even be just singing in your shower, singing a made-up song inside your head. That's another great way to be creative. It could be writing a story, writing a poem, or more of the classic ones of painting a picture, drawing, trying pottery. And if you don't feel like you have anything, like any existing hobbies or things where you have been creative, I encourage you to sign up for or step out of your comfort zone to try something creative. Maybe look to see if there's a community class that you can sign up for. That way you kind of have that extra motivation to actually try something and put yourself out there and force yourself to be a little bit creative. And yeah, or, creativity can look like making up a dance even, or dancing alone in your room. I know where I live, even at concerts, people don't always dance, and that's really sad. You think everybody can dance. Moving your body is something that absolutely every single person can do, and every single person can express themselves that way. So if you have a song that you like, you can try dancing to it, and even if your dances are, you're embarrassed to dance, that's why it's good to dance alone, just to come into yourself and realize, oh, this is who I am, and grow like a sense of self and a sense of self-love for yourself of, oh yeah, like maybe I look a little silly, but I'm having fun and that's what's important. And I'm making something brand new that might not be the most beautiful thing in the world, but it's something that I'm creating that is inherently me. And so in that way, you can start to build an identity and maybe even influence other people around you to start to be themselves more, or kind of pull out of all of that sucking in that media does and takes from us. It's kind of taking our own power back to make something beautiful. And creativity can also be a great way to express and process emotions if you're feeling very strong emotions about something. Creativity is a great way to express those emotions and kind of work through them in a way of maybe not in the traditional sense of crying or laughing, but those can absolutely come out when you express yourselves and maybe dig a little bit deeper with creativity into maybe your subconscious. Not to get too Freudian on everybody. Now, I know that I have been more advocating for creating by yourself, but creativity can also be a great group activity or a way to deepen your connections with other people, become more open with other people, and learn a lot more about each other by creating something together. And I think there is a level of beautiful collaboration that can happen when people come together and be creative, or they can create things they never even imagined. I think when you have someone else to bounce things off of, it puts like a level of constraint on your creativity, which constraint can be very helpful for being creative, because when you just have an empty canvas or nothing, it's hard to know where to go from there. But when you can have a response to someone else, that's why I encourage dancing, because dancing, in a way, is a collaboration in creativity between you and whoever wrote the song. And so you can kind of have a fun creativity activity with someone you know, too, if you need a little bit of help with constraints, or look online for topics, or often if there's just something on your heart or something that you, like maybe you've consumed a lot of something. Now, in response, you can create something based on everything that you have been consuming, or share your opinion through some kind of art or creativity. And those constraints of whatever that topic is or whatever that ideal is will help you have something to build off of and move your creativity to and through. And so when you're creative, tying this all back into the Live Life Love message of living a life you love and living your life full of love is when you are creative, you are also fostering that self-love with yourself, with your own flaws. And the more you come to terms with your own flaws makes it a lot easier to accept flaws in other people, because often if you are bothered by someone's flaws or misgivings, oftentimes that is a trait that you see in yourself and you see it reflected into them, which makes you extra critical of them because you have that trait. So, but creativity can help accept flaws and be more kind to yourself so you are loving life more. And like I was kind of saying at the beginning, is because most of our time we are spending consuming information, taking information in, it's good to have some time to create something. Humans were not meant to purely consume. We're absolutely meant to create, and that's what keeps the world moving, is a give and take of people creating things and other people consuming those things. It's a form of communication, and it's important to have a balance between the two of engaging with things in art or media that you enjoy, but also creating media or art that is intrinsically you, that takes in all of your life experiences, everything you've consumed, and makes something that only that you can make. And it can be daunting when you think about, there's been so many people over time who have always been creating and making things. Is there even value to what I create? And I would say absolutely there is value, because no one has lived through this exact time and through this exact circumstances, and everything that you have gone through is your own individual life and experiences that ultimately make your creations and your creativity specifically unique. And I truly believe that, even with billions of people on the earth, I believe that every single person is unique in some way, or not like unique in some way, but all the combination of all their things that make them make a unique pattern that is intrinsically them. And when you have a strong sense of self, you're less likely to fall victim to hive mentalities and just following the leader blindly, because you already have your sense of self and you are able to create something and create a welcoming and loving thing that I believe can absolutely bring brightness to the world. So that is my message for today. It is a shorter, sweeter one. Of course, I kind of alluded to the activity this week is, of course, to try to be creative in some way, and maybe a way that you've never been creative before if you're more of a creative person, or if you're less of a creative person, just trying something creative that maybe you've been thinking about trying for a while but just haven't taken the dive into. But thank you so much for listening, and I will see you guys later. Thank you so much for listening to the Live Life Love podcast. As always, please share this episode with your friends and family. Follow the podcast on Instagram at Live Life Love Pod, or visit the website livelifelovepodcast.com. You can find past episodes wherever you like to listen, and new episodes come out every Tuesday. Have a great day.